A little bit than I am, a little bit of you see, a little bit of you, 1, 2, 3. Welcome back, y'all, to episode 2 of my podcast. Don't know what it's going to be called. I have no idea, but we're just going to be rocking and rolling and shit like that. Anyways, but yeah, episode 2. Let's get right into it. Yeah, crazy week, this past week. We had the NFL draft that is wrapping up today. Saturday. Today's Saturday, and today's gonna be the last day for that to happen. And a lot of talks about the number one overall picks. Very interesting to see a lot of O linemen and D linemen get picked. I mean, you know, gotta protect your asset when it comes to the D line. Gotta protect your asset. Gotta protect your star players, stuff like that. My Eagles, we got a linebacker out of Alabama. I did kind of want the one dude from Penn State, Abdul Carter, freaking stud, man. But yeah, it. So let's just go off the draft order. Go off the draft order. Let me just. Draft order. So round one, first overall pick was Cam Ward out of Miami. I think he's like the first draft pick to be picked. Number one overall first round draft pick to be picked. That was not highly recruited or a 0-star recruit coming out of high school. Um, Transferred from Miami after playing at Interact Ward for 2 seasons and at Washington State. Pretty good guy, pretty good, talented guy. Then the second pick was Travis Hunter. I mean, what else can you say about Travis Hunter? That was a trade from Cleveland to Jacksonville. Travis Hunter, a dual threat, Swiss Army knife type of player, can play both sides on the ball. Was really good at Jackson State and was also good at Colorado. Good physicality, good ball knowledge, just athletic freak. Then we got Abdul Carter, linebacker out of Penn State, or edge rusher. Stud, Philly guy, local guy. Philly could have got him. We didn't get him, but still, hey, got gets called, like, compared to guys like Micah Parsons and stuff like that. Um, Outstanding pass rusher with elite intel quickness. He can get level with offensive tackles before they are set, and he dips under tackles before they are set. He rips under blocks. He runs the loop, bends inside without blocks. Bends inside without losing his balance. Has outstanding closing burst. Carter has moved from linebacker to edge rush in 2024. Yeah. Will Campbell. There was like a lot of controversy about this dude, about his arm reach, arm length, stuff like that. But another good solid pickup. The the Patriots got him, so that's a good pickup for them. Protect their asset when it comes to that one quarterback. I forget his name. And then the Browns got another defensive player, Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. The number 6 pick was Ashton Genty from the Raiders. Running back from Boise State. Good pickup. Good pickup. Then the Jets got a defensive tackle, Armand Mebu, offensive tackle from Missouri. The Carolina Panthers got a wide receiver. My Polynesian brother. I ain't gonna pronounce your name, but your last name is McMillan. Wide receiver out of Arizona. Then the Saints got an offensive tackle. Kevin Banks Jr., offensive tackle from Texas. Colston, my head again. Come on. The Bears got tight end from Michigan. Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. The 49ers got a edge rusher out of Georgia, Mikael Williams. The Dallas Cowboys got offensive guard from Alabama, Tyler Booker. The Miami Dolphins got a defensive tackle, Kenneth Grant from Michigan, 6'4", 331 pounds. Big ass motherfucker. And then a good pickup for the Colts, Tyler Warner, tight end from Penn State. This dude was a stud, bro. This is a good pickup for them. Good pickup for them. The Atlanta Falcons got a linebacker out of Georgia, Jalen Walker, 6'1", 243. The Cardinals got a defensive tackle, Walter Nolan, out of Ole Miss, 6'4", 296. Yeah, like offensive tackles, offensive linemen, D linemen, like linebackers. It's a heavy lineman class. What should I call it? The fucking Cincinnati Bengals got a edge rusher out of Texas A&M, Shamir Stewart, 6'5", 267. And then the first FCS player to be picked in this year's draft by the Seattle Seahawks, Gray Zamble, offensive guard out of North Dakota State, 6'6", 312 pounds. And then we got a wide receiver, second wide receiver, coming out of Ohio State by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ikmua Ikbuka, 6'1", 202, wide receiver. Then the Broncos, they got a cornerback out of Texas, Jahade Boron, 5'11", 194. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers got an offensive tackle out of Oregon, Derek Harmon. Harmon. 6'5", 313. Now, unfortunately, right after he got drafted, his mother did pass away. So that is very sad and unfortunate that that had to happen during probably one of the best times of his life, one of the best moments of your life. Your mom passes away right after you get drafted into the NFL. Rest in peace to his mother. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Very sad, very sad. But out of Los Angeles Chargers, they got a running back, second running back off the board in the draft in the first round. Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina, 6 foot, 221 pounds. Okay, and then the Green Bay Packers, they got a wide receiver, Matthew Golden, out of Texas, 5'11", 191 pounds. The Minnesota Vikings got an offensive guard, Davion Jackson from Ohio State, 6'4", 315 pounds. And then what was kind of crazy, a trade from Houston. The New York Giants traded back into the draft. In the first round, they got Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. 6'2", 223 pounds. We'll come back to this later on. We'll talk about this. And then another trade from the Rams to the Falcons. They got edge rusher James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, 6'5", 245 pounds. Now this is besides Abdul Carter, this is what I was hoping we would have gotten. Not saying that the guy that we got is bad, but this was probably like my second pick besides Abdul Carter. Okay. The Baltimore Ravens got a safety out of Georgia, Malaki Starks. I don't know how you say that name, to be honest with you. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. I apologize. But he's a safety out of Georgia, 6'1", 197 pounds. Okay. And then we got the Detroit Lions. They got a defensive tackle out of Ohio State, Tyleek Williams, 6'3", 334 pounds. The Washington Commanders got an offensive tackle out of Oregon, Josh Kunlery Jr., 6'5", 311 pounds. The Buffalo Bills got a cornerback out of Kentucky, Maxwell Hairston, 5'11", 183 pounds. My Philadelphia Eagles got Jahad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. This was a trade. Us and Kansas City, we traded each other's draft order. So instead of us being the last pick, they got the last pick. So he's a 6'3", 235 pound linebacker out of Alabama. And then Kansas City got Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State, 6'5", 317 pounds. So yeah, that is round 1 of the NFL draft. So like I said, we're gonna go back to the whole Jackson Dart situation. So, the big thing about the whole NFL draft is where was Shedeur Sanders was going to go. Was Shedeur Sanders going to go the top 10 picks? Because a lot of people said he should have went to either. Me personally, I thought he was either going to go to Cleveland, the New York Giants, Pittsburgh Steelers, Seattle Seahawks. Like those four teams were kind of like the main targets that Shedeur Sanders was going to go. But unfortunately for Shedeur Sanders' case, he dropped all the way down to the fifth round. All the way down to the fifth round of the draft. Which, me personally, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was very surprised that he dropped down to the fifth round. Me personally, I thought he would either go. I really thought that he was going to go not number one overall pick, but I thought he was going to go like either if he didn't get drafted in the first round, he would have definitely got drafted in the second round. I was very surprised that he did not get drafted in the third or fourth round. Now, a lot of people are saying that the NFL is blackballing him. The NFL is trying to destroy his confidence. The NFL is trying to destroy his pride and stuff like that. Now, me personally, I do kind of see what people are saying. Hold up. All right, so with that being said, sorry about that. They said they was trying to kill his confidence and stuff like that. Who has the last pick? I just want to see who has the last pick real quick. Okay. Okay. So yeah, a lot of people were kind of getting mad and upset that Shedeur Sanders wasn't getting picked. They were really confused as to why Shedeur Sanders wasn't getting picked. Jackson Dart. Why did Jackson Dart get picked over Shedeur Sanders and stuff like that? I'm not gonna lie. Is Jackson Dart better than Shedeur? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not really that type of. I don't really go into depth when it comes to stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying that Shedeur Sanders isn't a good player. He is a good player. He did very well at Jackson State, and that he did very well at Well, he had one good season at Colorado. But with that being said, I do think that whole like him, you know, talking trash about teammates who left Colorado because they said that they had very bad experiences there when Deion Sanders was there, saying that those guys probably didn't even get in, or I don't even know who those guys were. Stuff like that can alter your NFL chances. Stuff like that can alter your draft stock. I mean, listen, it's like the NFL don't care that you're Deion Sanders' son. They do not care who your daddy was. They do not care about that. They could care less. Now, me personally, I when it comes to Deion Sanders, I think Deion Sanders is arguably one of the greatest athletes of all time. And when I mean athletes, I'm not talking about just football. I'm talking about just like athlete. Like this man, Deion Sanders, he played in an NFL game. Then he also played in an MLB game in the same day for Atlanta Braves. That's that's unthinkable in today's time. Like that stuff like that is unthinkable. Like I don't see anybody doing that anytime soon. Um Now there's a difference between being confident and being arrogant. Okay, Deion Sanders, he can have some arrogance to him. You know, I've I've not only I've grew up watching Deion Sanders. I probably never saw him play because I don't know when he retired. I think he retired like back in like 2002. Like I remember seeing Deion Sanders. I remember who he was when he was on NFL Network. I remember all that. I remember watching his interviews and like how he was, and the golden, the big jewelry, the iced out chains at his draft day. I remember all that. I remember watching all that. Not when it happened. I wasn't born then, but I remember that. I remember the whole flashiness and stuff like that. And some people like that stuff. Some people think that stuff is cool. Others don't. And obviously, and with that being said, this whole wearing your flashing your watch in the camera when you warm up and stuff like that, like stuff like that's not new. It's not really new in college sports. I remember when a player from Virginia Tech wore like a golden, a gold plated Rolex when they played Ohio State back in like 2015 or 2014. I remember that. I remember that happening and that going viral. I'm like, oh well, that's kind of cool. So now, when you got guys like Deion Sanders' son doing it, I do think other people are going to look at that and be like, oh, he's just showing off that he has money. Now, in this new day and age of college athletics and NIL deal, yeah, bro, people are going to get paid. People are going to buy jewelry. People are going to, buy expensive stuff. Do I think the NFL is trying to break him? Do I think the NFL is trying to make an example out of him? In a way, I do. In a way, I do. Because, Deion Sanders has been his son's coach, like, for the longest of times, bro. Like, I think Deion Sanders even opened up, if I'm not mistaken, he opened up a prep school. He opened up his own school so he can coach his own sons at his own school. I think it's called Prime Prep. Let me see if this the school still open up. Yeah, Prime Prep Academy. Prime Prep Academy was a grouping of charter schools in Texas, co-founded in 2012 by Deion Sanders, a former American football and baseball player who has also coached at the school. It has campus in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Oak Cliff. It's from K to 12. Let me see if it's still open. Oh no, it actually shut down. Oh, what is this? Says purport Prime Prep. This is from NBC Sports. Published July 15th, 2014. Report Prime Prep co-founded by Deion Sanders faces closure. Prime Prep, a charter school located in Texas, co-founded by Deion Sanders, is set to close after 2 years, according to a report. Prime Prep, in its short experience, has featured some of the nation's top basketball players, most notably former SMU signee Emmanuel Mudiay, who announced on Monday that he would play overseas instead of honoring his commit. The Texas Education Agency issued a letter to the school on Tuesday stating it plans to revoke Prime's prep charter due to fiscal mismanagement and failure to comply with state education code. Unfortunately, these things happened in 2012 prior to my arrival in 2014. Prime Prep Superintendent Ron Price told the Morning News, "We will keep the focus on educating students of Prime Prep." Deion Sanders responded on news via Twitter on Tuesday night, pronouncing to appeal this decision. My former co-founder, D.L. Wallace, was crook and heartless, and we are still suffering from his devilish ways. TA informed Prime Prep that they would revoke the charter pending appeal for the food program that Wallace halted the state out of $45,000. We will appeal immediately. I feel bad for this nonsense of yesterday's affecting today and the potential of tomorrow for our students and the new administration, he said in a string of tweets. So apparently the Prime Prep, I remember that he had like a reality TV show about that shit. Prime Prep reality show. Yeah, like I remember that. I remember the whole like reality TV show and stuff like that. So here's the thing. Deion Sanders wants to be in the spotlight. He wants to be in the spotlight. If you saw his 30 for 30 or whatever it was, his former Atlanta Falcons teammates talked about how, they knew that Deion Sanders cared more about the money than staying in Atlanta and being a part of the Atlanta Falcons and trying to build something there. and stuff like that. Um, and here's the thing. When it comes to him going to being a coach at Jackson State, I do believe that he used the HBCU plate. That, we need to support our HBCUs. All black people need to go to HBCUs. All you top recruits, y'all need to go to HBCUs. This, that, and the third. We need to put our money back into our own and stuff like that. I do believe he used that to make like a whole sympathy thing, so that he can have support when he's at Jackson State. Because if anybody knows anything about Jackson State, Jackson State is not. It's not like when it like if you know your thing about HBCUs, Jackson State is like the worst HBCU you can go to. Not only is it located in Mississippi, it's also located in Jackson State. Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi is like one of the worst places in America you can live in. Like I'm not even talking about crime, just like poverty, just like nothing there, like nothing. Like you can't do nothing in Jackson State. Like you can't do anything in there. Like Jackson City, Mississippi. Because, he talked about how, like, yeah, I'm going to Jackson, Mississippi, I'm going to Jackson State, stuff like this, blase, blase, blah. And then, all of a sudden, you hear things about, now, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of corruption when it comes to the HBCUs. When it comes to like money mismanagement and stuff like that. That is true. That is true. There is a lot of misplacement and mismanagement when it comes to the financial aid office and stuff like that. It's like a lot of HBCUs have that problem. I remember like Howard University, I think it was in like 2018 or 2017 when students were coming back from winter vacation. Students were at the financial aid office because apparently like the dorms were, people didn't have money for dorms. The dorms wasn't ready, or they had too many students living on campus and they didn't have enough dorms for them to stay in. The same thing happened to Clark Atlanta. I think back in like 2021 or a couple years ago, actually, it was actually not that long ago, where Clark Atlanta, like, they had students living in a hotel because the dorms had mold in it. And so yeah, there's a lot of shady shit that comes along with HBCUs, unfortunately. But yeah, going back to the whole Deion Sanders and the HBCU thing, he did use that whole HBCU play to gain sympathy and support when it comes to him going to Jackson State. Now, I'm not gonna lie, he did do good things for Jackson State. He got them new facilities. He got them new equipment, better equipment. I'm not gonna lie, he did pay for that stuff out of his own pocket. I'm not gonna lie, he did. But to do all that and to do like a whole 180 and be like, oh, I gotta get the freak out of here. At the end of the day, bro, you should have known that Jackson State was like not the best place for you. Because I remember him talking about how like his daughter, because he has a daughter who went to Jackson State while he was coaching there. he had a daughter being like followed at night on campus, like late at, I don't know what time of night, what time of the day it was, but he had a daughter being followed by somebody and stuff like that. Um, you know, so yeah. Um, Going back to the whole NFL draft thing, Shedeur Sanders actually did get drafted by the Cleveland Browns. And what's funny about that is the Cleveland Browns actually drafted a player, Cameron Gabriel, I think his name is, the quarterback out of Oregon. Cameron Gabriel. Oh, Dylan Gabriel. Okay, Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel, quarterback out of Oregon. He's like 5'11", which is kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah. Um, it is kind of funny, and then like when you looked at like the Cleveland Browns like war room, like the general manager did not look happy that they did. Like nobody in that draft room, in that war room, looked happy or excited um that they got Shedeur Sanders. Because actually, and another reason why I do think Shedeur Sanders fell in the draft is because his dad. His dad did say in an interview with Gilly the Kid and Wallow that there are going to be some teams that he's not going to go. There are going to be some cities that he's just not going to play at. I don't like they see that, bro. They see that, and they're looking at you like, who the hell do you think you are, telling us the NFL who is and who isn't going to draft your son? Okay, so you gonna say that? Okay, well we'll just not draft your son. How about that? We'll just not draft your son and let your son sit and drop in the draft. So I do think that part, um, that also negatively hurt his draft stock. I mean, me personally, if you're good, there's really no point. There, like, if you are really that great of a player, who cares what round you go to? Who cares if you're undrafted? Who cares? Like, if you know you're that shit, if you know that you're that guy, who really cares what round you go to? Um, yeah. So, best of luck to everybody who got drafted in this year's draft. Best of luck to everybody. If you didn't get drafted this year, if you're an undrafted free agent, you better work your ass off, man. You better work your ass off, and you better prove to these coaches why you deserve to be drafted. Okay? All right, so there's that. Speaking of NFL players, we gotta talk about this whole Shannon Sharp situation. Oh boy. Shannon Sharp has been in a scandal where he has been accused of rape by a 19-year-old OnlyFans sex worker. Text messages has come out of him saying things, and voice recordings have come out of him talking very crazy, very spicy. Conversations with him and this sex worker. Now, most people, for some reason, most people are upset from the fact that, and of course, it's a particular group of people, but there are some people that are upset that he was dealing with a white woman rather than the fact that he was accused of rape and stuff like that. More people are more, and obviously, is black people, is insecure black women who are upset that he was messing around with a white chick. Here's the thing. And then also the whole like 19-year-old thing, him being like 56 years old and she being 19. I understand that part. I understand how that is a little bit wrong. Not a little bit. It's kind of wrong. It's kind of like, yes, from a legal standpoint, you can fuck a 19-year-old when you're 56. But from a moral standpoint, it looks bad. But at the end of the day, she's a sex worker. She gets paid to have sex. I don't know why we tell women, or we push out and try to make pornography more mainstream and more acceptable to not only watch and consume, but also be a part of and like become sex workers. But the moment where a 56-year-old man pays a sex worker to have sex with him, now it's a problem. Now that's bad though, right? I'm just gonna have to say it. I'm just gonna have to say it, and I don't care if people get mad. The left and the feminist movement, and kind of push sex work to be like this cool thing. Like, oh, sex work is cool now. It's okay to do sex work. Who cares? Sex workers work. Get your money, girl. Blase, blase, blah. And then, like, now, the fact that a 19-year-old girl who's a sex worker is getting paid to have sex with an old man, now that's wrong. You can't be pro sex work. You can't advocate for sex work and then get mad when said sex worker fucks an old ass man. Even though she's getting paid for it, even though it's consensual. And that's another thing. Everything is consensual. Shannon Sharp just signed a deal. Like I think it was like a $50 million deal. And then like the next couple of days, he's hit with this scandal. So, there's that. It's a little bit iffy. But yeah, it's funny how Diana Ross, what's Diana Ross's daughter? Therese Ellis Ross. It's funny how just a couple days ago she was on Michelle Obama's interview on her podcast talking about how I can't date men my age. Mind you, she's 53, she's 52 years old. She's talking about how she can't date men her age because men her age are too misogynistic and they don't really, you know, respect women their age. So that's why she has to date men younger than her. Now the double standard is crazy, and don't get me wrong, I understand why that is, because most men like society praises men for having sex. Society praises men for having sex. We praise men for having sex, but we shame women for doing so. That's just the patriarchal society we live in. I mean, things are trying to. I mean, I understand. Some people are trying to change that. Some people aren't doing a great job trying to change that. But yeah, um, it's very hypocritical. And more people are just mad at the fact that he was dealing with a 19-year-old white girl instead of just like if she was a black girl, I think a lot of this would just not be that. Here's the thing. Apparently, he's into like race play and BDSM because the audio calls came back, or like text messages came back, where she's talking about put a black baby inside of me. She's saying crazy shit like that. And so on and so forth. But it's just like dude, I know there's like I don't want to tell my business out there, but like I've seen a porno where a girl was like freshly 18, her first porno, getting piped by a 53-year-old male porn star. Is that acceptable? Because he's also a porn star? Because he's also a sex worker? Where do we draw the line at? Like, where do we draw the line at? Like, when is it okay to like where do we draw the line at? Is it bad that he was messing around with a 19-year-old girl, or is it bad that the girl was white and then he's also into race play? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a kink shamer. I don't kink shame, but I will say this: if you're into race play or you're into scat porn, yes, that is a thing. There are people who like who love women taking shits. There's porn out there where women take shits and play with shit, play with their own shit. Yes, that is a real thing. Unfortunately, you niggas are weird though. You niggas are weird. Don't even talk about how like shit like that. You just got to keep it to yourself. I'm so sick and tired of this like whole like, oh, let's be open. It's okay. Things are kink shame. Yeah, I mean, let's not kink shame. It's okay to like things. Nah, some things you just gotta keep to yourself. Just like this nigga Kanye was. Talking about how him and his cousin discovered porn and that he's sucking his cousin's dick. Like, no, nigga, you should have kept that shit to your fucking self. Like shit like that, you gotta keep to yourself. So there's that, bro. Like I don't care. Like, oh, he's being vulnerable. He's being vulnerable. No, bro. Some shit you just don't fucking say, bro. There's some things you just don't fucking say. Some things that is just not our fucking business, bro. We should not have to know that you sucked your cousin's dick because you and him discovered porn together. Like, I don't give a fuck, bro. I don't care. Like, fuck out of here with that bullshit, bro. But anyways, man. it's just crazy, bro. It's just crazy, but yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. Thank y'all for joining in. Thank y'all for tuning in on this podcast, episode number 2. Don't know what it's going to be called yet, but we're definitely gonna. I am definitely going to keep doing this and see where it leads me to, and stuff like that. But yeah, man, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for joining. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.